Welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, and thank you for being here for another episode of Beyond the Lines. It's the show where we get an opposition supporter's view when it comes to previewing Newcastle's next game. And this Saturday at 3 o'clock, it's the Ivan Toney derby, ladies and gentlemen, as Newcastle take on Brentford at St. James's Park. And to help me preview this one, I'm joined by a very special guest. He's fresh off the plane from San Marino. He is a massive Brentford fan. He is a contributor to the besotted Brentford Pride of West London podcast. It's Billy, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very well. Thank you for inviting me on your podcast. Very excited to be on here. So, which is all good, and very excited to get myself ready. I've actually been packing my suitcase already. It's Thursday night. The suitcase is on the bed, and I'm putting all the stuff in. Big long weekender in Newcastle. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Leaving on Monday afternoon. Got my daughter coming, got my son coming, got my wife coming. We're all coming up to Newcastle, mate. West London. Well, I don't live in West London, but West London is going to be deserted, as we're coming up to your joint for the weekend to have a bit of fun.
West London on tour.
That's right.
Class.
Right. Yeah.
So we were talking before this when we were setting this up, and you said you went to the San Marino game. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, I was in the San Marino. I went to San Marino. I go to a lot of England games, and but to be fair, I hadn't been to. I tell you what, it's a weird one because I haven't been away for like most of us. I haven't been anywhere for sitting in your house for 2 years, and you start getting a bit of cabin fever. And England played Andorra last month, and I just couldn't get my head around. I mean, I've been to 15 tournaments of England, so I'll go everywhere with them. But I just couldn't get my head around going to Andorra. I really couldn't, even though it was on a Saturday. I could have got a ticket easily. But I just couldn't because I just thought, jabs, certificates and tests. So I just left it. I actually went to Dulwich Hamlet because I quite like watching Dulwich Hamlet, which is a non-league team down here, which actually gets a quite big support. We get about 3,500 fans in the last two games that they got, and they're in the Conference South. So I went to go and see them, and that was fine. But then it came to November, and it was also my birthday weekend, and I thought, tell you what, I've got to do it. So I booked the ticket, I've got the plane tickets, everything like that. But then I had to go through the full malarkey of the tests and the COVID certificate and the locator forms. And anyone who's been out here who's been through you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it literally was it's like Greek. Because if you've never done it before, you don't know what you have to do and where you have to do it and where you have to show it. And also the interesting thing is if you go to Italy, because I know a lot of people are moaning about sort of civil liberties here and should masks on, masks off. Italy is literally like masks on. If you sit in a restaurant, it's COVID certificate. If you haven't got one, you can't eat out, you can't drink out. And it's it is actually really clear. So you kind of know what the rules are when you're there. And but I had a good laugh. I had a good laugh at San Marino, and I actually did hang out with a load of Newcastle fans actually in the Bounty bar before the game as well.
You might have seen a few people who've been on this podcast before, like the likes of Tom, who's a part of the supporters trust. Yeah, a lot of them like to follow England away, but at least you've went through all that. You got to see 10 goals at least.
I didn't quite get to see 10 goals, but we won't go into that.
All right.
I saw most of the goals, but let's just say it was a flowing game. There's lots of chatting going on, and there's a few characters there as well, which like I said, I'll go into a little bit later. But that's right, Basher. I met Basher and his crew. I don't know if you know them. They drink at a bar called, is it the Star Bar? Is it the Star?
The Star Inn, maybe. Yeah,
that's right, the Star Inn. So they said, pop into the Star Inn if you want to have a beer with us before the match tomorrow. So I might just pop into the Star Inn on Saturday.
Well, that's what it's all about, mate. But we're here to obviously talk about the big game on Saturday. But before we get into it, let's talk about Brentford. That's why you're here. We're going to talk about Brentford. They're finally a Premier League club, mate. Has it sank in yet? Is reality hit yet? Are you still on cloud nine? How are you feeling?
It's a bit strange still. It's obviously sunk in because we played a few games and we're getting a bit of a beating in a few of those. So that's Premier League life for you. But you have to remember that I've been supporting them for 40 odd years. I've been home and away with Brentford for 40 odd years, and I've seen them play everywhere. Accrington Stanley, Grimsby, Scunthorpe, Wrexham, all these places which I've loved going to. Even Stockport, everyone's going on about that Stockport game the other night, which I was gutted because I think I was travelling back, so I was out. I don't know what I was. I didn't see the game, and everyone's going, "What a fantastic FA Cup game that was!" And it just harked my mind back to thinking, God, how many times have we beat the Stockport? How many times do we used to go and stay in Bredbury Hall, like, before the Stockport game? It just became those things that you did as a sort of lower league fan, to just have a right good laugh and a right good sort of kind of day out or a weekender. And I loved going to those games, but, I never really did think that we're going to get Premier League. Premier League means, you're playing Man United and Liverpool and, Everton and all these teams, Newcastle as well, but you never really think that when you're playing Scunthorpe and all teams like that. So, even when Matthew Benham came in, who's our owner, and he flipped things up, to be fair to him, he just changed the ethos of the club. He got rid of people who weren't, his way of thinking. He got his style in. He wanted to get professional people in, players who just thought one particular way and who were very professional in their way out. Because beforehand, we were, old school Brentford is like, right, mate, let's go out, have a few beers afterwards. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but he really wanted to professionalize the way that the club operated in every way. And I think what is very important, because I know a lot of fans, they want their clubs to be doing really well. But what I did realize is that, he took us over pretty much just when we come out of the bottom division. We got promoted from Division 4. 2009, we got promoted out there. He's put a little bit of money in, £1 million a year. And he said, like, after 5 years, if because you're in trouble with the buckets outside, after 5 years, you sort yourself out, pay us back the 5 million, interest free, no problem, I'll go away. He'd invested 20 million after 2 years, and we went, do you want to buy the club? So we let him buy the club. So when that happened, he changed everything. It's almost like what Rafa did when he came to you, and all of a sudden he kind of like, it's no point coming in and just doing a little bit of work here and moving a few players left and right and bringing players in. You've got to do it from top to bottom. And obviously he couldn't do it right at the top. Was Ashley was still at the top, but he managed to sort of clean it up.
Everything he was in charge of, he was just meticulous. Right. Meticulous is the word I always like to use.
That's right. And Benham was like that. So he sorted out the ethos. We're going to play great football. We're going to have people who are into, what I'm a believer to. I'm going to use my statistical modelling to help define players. We're going to, have them to have good diets. We're going to only, have a no dickheads policy. So all the players that we sign are going to be really, really on the ball and really into it, But it took him years to try and get that into the system, and Dean Smith had to come in and sort the dressing room politics out, get rid of a few players who are kind of like, a bit old school. Look, this is what football's all about. Got rid of a few managers, not going to mention their names, but I think you probably know who they are as well, who's a bit old school, like, what's this all about? We want to do things our way. So it took us a long time to get to where we are now. And to be fair, like, you could see it slowly. We just started getting better and better in the Championship. We're getting better and better, and we were always rising up. But you still never think you're going to get to the Premier League. And, when we got there and we lost a full of, I can't say it, it's our West London rivals. It's like, it's like you saying, I can't say it,
So the Mackhams.
We lost in the playoff final. That was a bit of a gutter, because obviously losing to your big rivals, and a lot of people, Bees fans, probably thought, tell you what, maybe that's our chance gone. We had a great side, Ollie Watkins, Ben Rama, and Bumo, and we didn't do it. So we knew the side's going to be broken up. We thought maybe we've missed our chance. But the fair play to our director of football, who is actually a Newcastle fan, and he's going to be there tomorrow. He's travelling up. He's going to meet his brother Michael as well, who actually listens to your podcast every single week as well.
Michael there you go.
Yeah,
thank you very much, Michael Giles.
Yeah, big Newcastle fan. He's going to probably meet us for a drink beforehand. Brilliant. Phil Giles is our director of football, big Newcastle fan, so he knows everything about you. So he's already done the research himself. Like, what I'm saying.
Well, there's not much to research at this moment in time, other than the fact we're pretty rubbish.
Yeah, so that's the score. So I said, listen, looking forward to it, and like I said to you, big game for us, big game for you. And, we'll have to see how it goes, because, you obviously new change of manager. For us, we've lost 4 games on the bounce after having a really great start. We've got a lot of injuries, but, I'm sitting here, paying all due respect to you and to Norwich and to Burnley. And I'm not trying to blame injuries on everything, because I think it's very unfair on the opposition team. when you do that, when we play some teams and we play them off the park sometimes, and then they come back and they make excuses. Oh yeah, this person was out, or we had an off day, or or as Arsenal did. Oh, the crowd was too loud. We played behind closed doors before, and all of a sudden their crowd was singing, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Bullshit.
So I think it's a bit unfair to try to do that. So for us, we have got injuries, but we're going to just see how it pans out.
That's all we can do, can't we? When you obviously either on a bad run of form like you are, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping, Mr. Howe's going to have the effect that we hope he will have. But before we get onto that, I mean, you've talked about the owner and the effect he had, your directors of football. Obviously, it's been publicised well that he's adopted that sort of money ball strategy, like from what the Oakland days did. From the finding those little gems that you can get the best out of without paying too much money. But one big guy who's had a massive effect is Mr. Thomas Frank. Now, what's your opinion on him? Because from the outside looking in, I feel like he's one of those managers that when he's at your club, I was quite envious of him when I had Steve Bruce at mine. I look at him, the passion, the forward thinking. He's very pragmatic. He's also very meticulous in his approach. Seems to just know the game, love the game, and he's really bought into Brentford. What's your opinion on Thomas Frank?
He's an absolutely top bloke. For me, it's about people first, and we're in a people game, we're in a football game, and and also Brentford's a small club, so you've got to like the people. We're not hiding, we're not pretending we're Man United or Man City. We're not like that at all. We're a small club, and somebody's got to come in and fit into our club mentality. We can't. There's certain people that just couldn't come down to Brentford, and it'll be a bit like, you don't quite fit in there, like, what I'm saying. But he is coming and he fit. And to be fair as well to our owner, he knew that Dean Smith, and again, it's not a disrespect on Dean Smith, but he did a great job with Brentford sorting us out and doing lots of things with us. And I think that Brentford realised that Dean Smith probably needed a little bit of help just tactically to do some bits and pieces. So what he did is that he asked Dean after he was in charge for a couple of years, I think, or a year and a half, said, look, do you mind if we also bring in somebody else to your coaching team to work beneath you, to work as one of your assistants? He already had Richard O'Kelly there. Dean Smith said, yeah, that's cool, because Dean Smith's like that. He's a nice guy and he's really humble. Other managers wouldn't have done that. So he said, I've got this guy, Thomas Frank. And so he brought in Thomas Frank. The owner brought in Thomas Frank to work underneath Dean Smith. But what Thomas did is that he came over here and he learned the language, he learned the jokes, he learned, the ethos, he learned about English football, he learned what we like, he learned about going down the pub, he learned everything about English football in 2 years, so that when Dean Smith decided to leave eventually, he could slot right in without actually sort of kind of being parachuted in from Europe. And all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this has all gone horribly wrong. So for me, I've got a lot of respect for him doing that, because he was coach at Brøndby. Some big coaching jobs in Denmark, and to come in as somebody else's assistant, you've got to be quite a humble person to do that. Yeah. I think he realizes how much of a benefit it was. And for me, when somebody comes up to listen, Besotted Pride of West London podcast, definitely check us out. Pride of West London, and we've got actually one of your Newcastle fans on there as well, actually from it's from a sister podcast to you, True
Faith, yes
True Faith.
We're good friends with them, good friends.
They're on our podcast this week as well. But great, I mean, we love doing our pod, and like I said to you, we like the relationship we've got with our owner, our directors. We talk to them all the time, WhatsApp, whatever. We said to Thomas Frank came up to us after he came up to me and said, look, I want to go on your podcast. I was a bit like, whoa.
Amazing.
And I said, look, well, you can come on, but the only way we do it is we do it every week down the pub. So you're only going to come off down the pub. I'm not going to come down the training room with the microphone, because that's not our style. That's reporter style, and it's a bit staid for us. You have a little bit of a laugh with us, sit down, have a chat. He goes, you're right then. Next week, he's come down the pub, a couple of weeks later, 3 hours, telling us the full stories, everything like that. It's brilliant. And same thing with Bill Giles, who's the director of football as well. Him and Rasmus, like only 3 or 4 months ago, came down the pub. You check out Pride of West London, sat down there. We called up 60 people, didn't tell them we were coming, turned up down the pub, sat down the pub all night, 3 or 4 hours, just telling us about stories, transfers, what's going on. That's the kind of club that we are. It's really nice to kind of have that real kind of still family-ish type vibe. And a lot of people say when you go to Premier League, it's not going to last. It's not going to happen. But it still has happened. And that's what's quite nice about Brentford. And that's very important to us. So, talking about the players, and the style and how they've got that, they have maintained that. You call it the Moneyball style. We don't like calling it that, because I think they think it's a little bit lazy, but I think it's very easy because it was a film. And it has got us to where we are, because we ain't got a lot of money. We haven't got a lot of money. But the thing that what I realised about the club, which was really clever, is when they announced that they were going to do it first of all, and then we bought Andre Gray for 500 grand. And then in the first season in the championship, he scored 18 goals and basically got us to the playoff semi-final. And he just come from non-league Luton to championship, and everyone laughed at us, going, look at Brentford. They haven't got any strikers. They haven't got any players who've played in this division. And Brentford were like, don't worry about it. It's cool. He scored 18 goals. It was brilliant. We that year, obviously, everyone came in for him. When to sell him, as fans, we were really nervous. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't sell him. You can't sell him. The club said, don't worry. We'll get a lot of money for him, and then we'll buy someone better. You don't believe them because as fans, you know what it's like. The following season, they had Scott Hogan. Scott Hogan came in as well. He scored, 30 goals in about 2 games or something like that. Yeah. Aston Villa came in, sold him again. Oh, no. All the fans every time, no, you can't sell a player because as a fan, you want to keep the players the whole time. Eventually, it's like Vibe, then Maupay, then Ollie, and then eventually it came to getting rid of Ollie Watkins, and they're like, we're going to sell him. Fans were like, okay.
Trust you.
Cool. We're going to get someone else better.
I was going to eject there, because you were just about to take the words out of my mouth, and it's my next point. Obviously, I was going to say I followed you obviously closely since we went down with Rafa Benitez. Obviously, we played you twice. You were a good side then. Obviously, with Scott Hogan, I think we narrowly beat you at your place, and we won 3-1 at our place. Scott Hogan scored a goal. But I followed Brentford after that, and obviously you got rid of Hogan, and you've got Banrama, and then you've got Ollie Watkins, and you lose out against Fulham. Sorry, I said the word. But you lose them two, and I thought, well, I don't know how they're going to replace that. And then they bring in Mr. Ivan Toney, and I know he came from Newcastle via Peterborough to you guys, and he made his name at Peterborough. But I mean, like you said, you've trusted the process, and what have you made of Ivan Toney? Because he seems to be, the full package. Maybe, he's finding his feet in the Premier League right now, but he's got pace. He's very strong. He's a good finisher. He's smart. What have you made of Ivan Toney?
I tell you what, he's a brilliant player. He's so focused. And what was really interesting, meeting the Newcastle lads that I met in San Marino, it wasn't me that said it. I was just sitting there, just kind of in my bed, and they said to me, tell you what, do you think Ivan Toney should be playing for England? You know what I'm saying? And I went, I went, probably not now, just because
not now.
I want him to concentrate on scoring for Brentford. And they went, well, we do. And I was like, no, they're going they said, we do. We think that maybe, he should be playing in place of Tammy Abraham. And I was thinking, well, look, I'm not being funny, but Tammy, to be fair, he's he's done the hard work and he's kind of got there. Yeah. But in my head, I was thinking, tell you what, I'd love to see Ivan Toney play against San Marino. Right, just bring him in at a game like that. You've got nothing to lose because the geezer is unbelievable. You could see exactly what he's like. And if he's one for the future, that would be a great game for him to come in. The thing about Ivan Toney is there's a few things. He's very, very confident in himself, right? He just thinks, I am the best thing. I am brilliant, So he's got this kind of confidence verging on, you would say arrogance. I think but it's more confidence than arrogant, you know what I'm saying?
The best players in the world have that, though. I mean, I'm not saying Ivan Toney's one of the best players in the world, but you do see the more successful players have that self-assured attitude where they believe they can go on to any game and score, especially strikers. Go into a game and score goals.
Definitely, and but also the other thing is that he's got a work ethic which is on another level. So everyone goes on, like, say for example, in the Premier League, they're saying, oh, he hasn't scored that many goals, but if you watch what he does on the pitch, he is, winning every single header. He's out on the wing. He's dropped back deep. He's helping in defence. He is literally all over the place. And part of the reason why I think that he's not scoring as many goals is because he's not in the box, basically getting the balls and doing what he has to do, because he's doing so much hard work for everybody else. And that's why we think, maybe at the moment now we are missing one or two players, especially through our injuries, which Ivan Toney has to come back in and try to compensate. And at the end of the day, he's just thinking, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do a bit of hard work, but I'll lay the ball off for Mbumo, who hit the post again, because I think he's hit the post about 8 times this season already. You know what I'm saying? No, but Brian's a great player, you know what I'm saying? So Ivan's like, okay, well, if I can lay it off for Brian, if I can lay it off for, for Godos, whoever like that, that's what I'm going to do. So I like the attitude of Ivan Toney, but I think when he gets back into the flow like he did for last season, players get back in. So whether or not it's going to be Josh De Silva, who played very well against you in the cup game as well. He got player of the match as well. Great player, but he's been out for nearly a year. Okay, so it's a real shame. Players like him, but when they start coming back into the frame, I think we've got we've got a few players coming back as well. Maybe after the international break, you may see a difference in Ivan Toney and the way that he plays. So honestly, he's a great player. He's a great professional, and maybe next time we play San Marino, we might see him play for England.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to bag a goal against Newcastle at the weekend. That's just what we do. We like to make the obvious scripts, have the past players score against us. But before we get on to predictions for Saturday's game, Billy, I like to do a little bit of word association just before we go into it. So I'm going to say 4 or 5 words, one word at a time. I want you to tell me the Brentford player that pops into your head, current Brentford player that pops into your head when I say them, all right?
Okay.
Passion.
Oh, passion. It's got to be... passion, I'd say is Ivan Toney.
There you go. What about pace?
Oh, it's got to be Rico Henry.
Is he fullback? Is he fullback?
Yeah, he plays... Rico Henry is arguably the best... fullback, best left back in the Championship last season.
Right.
Great player. He had a lot of injuries. He came out of Dean Smith's Walsall. He's been for us for a while. He played for he was going to play for the England under-20 team that I think that won the World Cup that time, but he got injured, which is a real shame. And there's an argument to say that, he could or should be playing for England at the moment, but then I am a bit biased.
Yeah. Maybe next time we play San Marino again.
That's right.
Liability.
Oh, this is so unfair. This is so unfair because... okay, right. This is so unfair, but what I will say is that we've got a new goalkeeper coming in now because Raya, who's an unbelievable goalkeeper, and he's almost like a midfielder for us. Yeah. And so he's one of the goalkeepers who gets the ball, dummies a striker, puts the ball for his legs, does a double twist, and then the 30-yard pass to one of our players to put the ball in the back of the net. So he's out for 5 months, unfortunately. So we've got a new goalkeeper in who's Fernandez, who I believe is going to be really good, but he's not been in for long enough. So he made a few mistakes against Burnley and a few other mistakes. So if you say liability, I will say him, but I would say not forever. I'll just say at the moment, Tommy, because I'm trying to be kind to him, aren't I? Because he's finding his feet.
What about tricky?
Who's tricky? Oh, I say who's a bit of a trickster. I think who could be a bit of a trickster could be. I would say. Tell you what, Sergi Canos can be a bit of a trickster at some time. Now, Sergi Canos is our left back, who, because we didn't have a right back, he's now our sort of right wing back. So what he's doing is he's playing as a wing back, as a winger. So what he can do is that he can actually kind of, maybe sort of kind of, he's defending, but he's coming forward. And so maybe a lot of people don't, they see him as a defender, but he's actually a winger. So that's why I think his tricks might come out and confuse a few people.
2 more. Essential.
Essential. Listen, these are all really, really difficult. The essential players to me are, there's 3 of them, and I'm going to have to pick one of them, but our 3 centre backs I think are super essential, which is Ethan Pinnock, brilliant player. He was playing non-league. He's playing for Dulwich Hamlet probably about 4 seasons ago in the non-league, in the Conference South, and he's now playing Premier League. Brilliant player. And then you've got Aya as well, who we signed a record signing from Celtic for £13 million. He's like a Rolls Royce.
We were actually apparently in for him as well. Apparently.
Yeah, of course, apparently, yeah. So he's a great player, and we got Pontus Jansson as well, who is our, the captain, the solid rock at the back. And those 3 players, I think they're really, really essential because our defence was on fire. Aya's out though, so you could say essential, but he's not playing. So the essentialness of him, I think he's really essential, but he's not there. Pontus Jansson, again, I really like Pontus as a great player to be in there, but I think that Ethan Pinnock has become much more. He's become so reliable now, and I think that he's an essential player in our side. He's a great defender.
Pontus Jansson's ex-Leeds, isn't it? Yeah,
he is ex-Leeds.
I always liked him when he was at Leeds. I thought he was a good player. Last one, you won't like this.
Leeds will bring more though. Don't forget.
So yeah. I always will. You didn't like liability, so I guess you're not going to have an answer for rubbish.
Oh, well.
Oh, you do, don't you? You do have an answer for rubbish. You're playing all the nice. I can see in your eyes there's someone you're thinking of.
Well, the thing is, who's really? This is really. Listen, you didn't pre-prep me for these answers as well.
I know. Well, it's better if I don't. It's better if I don't.
Yeah, that is. So I'm sitting down there and I'm thinking, because tell you something, because it's really unfair. Because, like I said to you, we've got the injuries, we've got more and more players coming into our side, and I think that we've got some really good players. And let me say, I wouldn't say he's rubbish, but I'm just looking at players who are not say sure. Because even Good, I think Good's all right, even though he needs a bit of work done on him. So I don't think it's fair to say that he's rubbish at all. Yeah. Player Good, he's got to probably play on Saturday as well. But I think maybe somebody like Janvier, who I don't think he's rubbish, but he didn't come out to be as good as what we thought he was. So maybe I'm going to say Janvier is probably not as good as we would have liked him to be. How's that being diplomatic?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry, Mr. Janvier, you had it here first. Billy said you're rubbish, mate. I'm already joking. I appreciate it's a loaded question, especially to guys like you who've got a team who, you pretty much, you love them all because they all try the hardest. So I know it's a loaded question, but we're running out of time, Billy. So we'll the last thing we'll talk about was a prediction for Saturday's game. We're going into it, like you've just said, you guys on the back of 4 losses. We're on the back of, I'd say, steadying the ship a little bit, getting 2 points out of our last 3 games, but away at Brighton and away at Palace, coming from a goal down each time. We have got the new manager in though, and we're hoping that the work that he's put on the training pitch is probably in the last 2 weeks is probably more than he's had the players have had since the start of the season under Mr. Bruce. So hopefully we'll see an effect there. But coming away, St. James's Park, we haven't won yet. Confident? I know you've got injuries. What do you think?
No, to tell you something, this is a hard game for us. You've got 50,000 fans. Your fans are absolutely potty for it. I mean, I speak to them and they're so excited about this game. So we're going to have to deal with 50,000 fans going absolutely mad. We got Eddie Howe, who I've got an enormous amount of respect for. I think as a manager, he's a great manager. I like his style of football. I like his style, his demeanour. I just like everything about Eddie Howe. And, even when he bought a player of us, as well, Chris Mepham, who'd only played 30 games for us, he gave us 12 or 15 million pounds for him. He'd come out of the youth team. And we were like, okay, thank you very much, Eddie. There you go. But the way that he did it, no one had any kind of like bad blood about it at all, because he's kind of like, he's just a respectful bloke. Yeah. And so, yes, we haven't got a problem with that. To be quite honest with you, we were probably a little bit upset that he decided to join you last week. We would have rather he joined you next week, but we can't do anything about that. And so, I mean, talking about Eddie Howe, talking about, Newcastle, 3,000 Brentford fans coming down. We are really looking forward to coming down there as well. Newcastle fans have just showed us the utmost respect and manners every single time that we've played you. We've been up there. And honestly, I've got absolutely no problem. So I'm looking forward to it. My mates are looking forward to it. So putting that into it, we're going to be noisy. You're going to be noisy. We have got injuries, but at least we've had the 2-week international break, and hopefully we'll be able to fix a few things. I'm going to put my neck out, and I'm going to actually go for a 2-1 Brentford win. I'm going to go for that one, which is I've come on a rival podcast, but to be fair, fine. I've got to go for the Bees, because I'm thinking we need to get out of this 4-game losing rut. And Norwich game, we fluffed it a little bit, and for some reason we got their manager sacked by allowing them to beat us. Which I can't quite understand that, and you don't want that to happen to your new manager, so you better let us win, is what I'm going to say.
Well, I think I'd agree with everything you said there. You're going to have a great time up here. You've been up here before, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it. One thing I will say as well, just from a personal standpoint, obviously I'm a season ticket holder. My girlfriend booked us a weekend away in Edinburgh in January, and it falls this weekend. So I'm having to go. Laura, I love you, but I wish you could have just been able to predict Newcastle's fixtures for the next season. So I'm good.
That's a red card. That is, mate.
Well, yeah. she's that nice. I'll probably just give her a yellow. But I'll be there in spirit. My father will be there with my best mate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if there's any changes on the pitch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, there is. And it's going to be probably the most anticipated lineup announcement in years.
Since last week.
Say. Yeah, well,
since the San Marino game.
But no, honestly, we'll see what happens. But if there is a positive effect, I'd like to. There's no way we're going to keep a clean sheet. I personally don't think there's no chance we'll keep a clean sheet. Eddie Howe is not a miracle worker, especially over 2 weeks with that defence. So I would say if I think we're going to win, I think it's going to be 2-1. Newcastle, that's my optimistic prediction. However, there's a part of me that thinks that might be a 2-2 in there or a 2-2 score draw. But I pray that we can get the first 3 points. But either way, like you've just said, hope you have a great weekend. I'll be up in Edinburgh. Trying to ignore the score until full time because I don't want to ruin the weekend. So anyway, Billy, I just want to say a massive thank you for you coming on. If you guys haven't checked it out, the Besotted Brentford Pride of West London podcast, I'll be checking out myself because I didn't realise that you got Thomas Frank in for a podcast one time. So that sounds absolutely amazing. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Best of luck on Saturday. Just, not too good a luck. And yeah, have a great weekend, Billy. And all the best to all the travelling Brentford fans.
No. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me on. And listen, I won't catch up with you now, but when you come down to Brentford, all Newcastle fans, listen, all the pubs are open. There's no bouncers on the door, none of that nonsense. Just like Newcastle, you can come anywhere you want to. You'll be very, very welcome. As long as you've got manners, as we say, come down, have a drink with us. Go down there, go away with 0 points, but you'll still have a good time.
Well, I think the last time we played down there, Daryl Murphy scored the winner. It was a lovely time, but it was a tight game. But I'll definitely take it on that offer, Billy. And I'm sure plenty of people listening will do as well. But to the guys listening, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your support so far this season. Do all the stuff, like it, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you very much. All the best. And we'll see you on Saturday.
Okay, thank you.